G'day there guys, how's it going? Marky here, back again with another episode of r/legal advice. Now if you're in the mood for some good bloody content, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Posted by user O Country Throwaway, titled, California. Yesterday I received a DUI, the police claimed I was in the driver's seat of the vehicle and claimed I attempted to run out afterwards. However, I have no recollection of this event. So I don't recall or remember the events described by the police. I don't recall driving drunk or ever attempting to flee and resist. How likely is it that they will convict me with this fact? Police don't usually just make up out of the blue that they pulled over someone they didn't. Did you wake up in a jail cell? If you were arrested, then they must have taken you to the police station, booked you, taken your photo, breathalyzer, blood draw, etc. What's the part you're questioning? That you ran? That you were in the car at all? What do you remember? You really need a lawyer and get one who knows DUIs. Don't talk to the police unless your lawyer is with you. You'll want dashcam/body footage if it exists. You are asking us to evaluate how likely it is that certain facts happened. None of us were there. But if you don't have a clear memory of the time when it occurred, why would you doubt the police's story? Probably because they're still drunk. I'm gonna need a fact check on that one too, thanks. Yeah, getting blackout drunk will do that to you. Are there any mugshots from last night? And we can't know because the moderators just remove every comment in this section. And J10033 says, that's not good for you. People tend to remember things unless they're impaired in some way. Thank you, Jane. Really now, that's helpful. And now onto the update. In my earlier thread, I received a letter in the mail from the DA regarding the DUI and what I did. I also got about 60 pieces of mail spam from prospective lawyers who wanted to take my case. However, I could not recall the event. Good news. At the request of my legal counsel, I went to the sheriff's police station. They pulled up a mugshot correlating with my name, and it turns out it was someone else with the same exact first and last name as me. They mixed us up. I actually started to believe I actually did the DUI. At first, it was denial/rejection of the case, but as time passed and with people assuring me that I was probably too trashed, I started to fabricate false memories and actually believe that I was recalling the incident. Jesus Christ, that sounds terrifying. Posted by user Rebel Nature, titled, My cat was euthanized a few months ago. A month ago, an employee of the vet clinic posted a review using photos of my cat and a false narrative to badmouth me as the owner. I don't necessarily want to take any legal action, but I was advised to at least get some legal perspective on this and how to go about reporting it. In July, my cat suddenly became very unwell with trouble breathing. We took her to an emergency vet where she was put on antibiotics. We then made an appointment at a regular vet clinic for the follow-up, where she had some tests done. She was diagnosed with a heart murmur, which may have been due to some kind of infection. It was decided she had an ovarian infection due to the blood test results, so she had surgery to be spayed. We bought her spayed, but she clearly wasn't. They found a huge cyst and removed that during the procedure, and we hoped that was the end of it, and that we'd be able to monitor the heart murmur. A week later, she deteriorated very rapidly and couldn't breathe. We took her straight to the vet where she was euthanized because she was in a really bad way. It was horrific. I've had a hard time dealing with it. I'm housebound the majority of the time, and she was my constant companion, so I was very close with my pet. All my friends and family know that I've struggled with her loss and coming to terms with it. Her specific breed is known to have heart defects that can make them suddenly deteriorate, so I got support from other people with the same breed who had gone through the exact same thing. Flash forward to today, and I'm casually looking at reviews of our vet clinic on Google when I see photos of my cat. They are photos taken by someone else where she is inside the vet clinic. The review is a 5-star review saying the clinic is great, but that it isn't for emergencies and people shouldn't get mad when they've refused to get proper care for their animals, and have come there wanting cheap medical attention and prescriptions. I recognized the reviewer's pictures on other reviews as one of the nurses at the clinic. I don't know why she said these things. Nobody ever got mad about anything, and we didn't ever have any problems with paying for anything. We didn't even get a prescription for her from this clinic either. Seeing the photos had me in a panic, thinking my cat was still alive and with somebody else. So I was googling if euthanasia can be faked before I realized who it was that posted the photos and that they were taken inside the clinic. So it's unlikely somebody else had her at any point. I was still really upset by the review, since an employee used photos they took of my pet before she died and used them to write some negative fabricated narrative that is clearly directed towards the owner, me. How should I go about reporting this? Should I contact the clinic directly and speak to whoever is managing it that day? Should I be asking them for the details to speak to the owner of the clinic, a small chain clinic? Is any of this actually punishable? I would definitely screenshot the reviews and then send an email to the clinic asking for information as to why the employee posted such a fabricated review and politely ask them to remove it. I would absolutely be irate if that happened to me and my dogs and not be able to keep my cool in any way in person. So that's why I recommend email. Also, I'm very sorry for your loss. I can't imagine how hard this all must have been on you. I would also be sure to CC the email to the clinic owner/doctor in case the one who receives your email was the one who posted it in the first place. The one who supervises the staff needs to know that this happened and should investigate in case other photos on the site are there under similar circumstances. And any veterinary professional associations, state and federal. Everything has been screenshot, and I've just done a search for who the owner of the clinic is, and it's registered as this name redacted, the Law Office of S. Jeffrey a professional. What does this mean exactly? I've never seen a business registered agent name listed as a law office. That's likely just the agent for service of process, meaning if you are suing the clinic, you deliver the summons and complaint to them. I know my state requires a corporation to designate an agent for service of process. That's likely not the owner. Gotcha. It has names of the president and vice president, but nothing with regards to an owner. It is a small veterinary chain clinic, so it is likely that there isn't an owner of the individual locations, and that the president and VP are the ones I would need to contact if I'm wanting to go above the manager? Yes, absolutely. Also, it would be worth collecting all the receipts and records from this vet, and the other vets you took her to as well as her health declines. That way, if the clinic insists that you were being cheap, which you definitely were not, you'll have proof prepared to show them how wrong they are. Yep, I've just finished up writing my complaint to the Texas Board of VME and plan on including screenshots, receipts, photos as proof that she's my cat, etc. But part of me is kind of thinking not even bothering with the receipts from the other clinics. Technically speaking, how much I paid isn't even of any relevancy to the point of my complaints. People should be allowed to be cheap if they're strapped for cash without an employee writing a review with the sole purpose of shaming customers for it. Just make sure you also contact higher-ups at the clinic. Even if you can't get the owner, the president and vice president of the clinic should do in this case. I'm calling a different location tomorrow and asking to get the contact info for the president of the company, or requesting that they contact him and have him call me. Also know that you can be present for a euthanasia. Definitely can't be faked then. Not that it is common for euthanasia to be faked, but it has happened. I was there when she was euthanized, but seeing the photos posted only a month ago and by someone I don't know had me thinking irrationally and wondering if they could inject a sedative to fake the euthanasia. There's no way she's still alive. I have her ashes and a paw print. But that review had me second guessing myself for a few minutes, and I think that is the cruelest part of what this vet tech had done. Edits. I've finally written a more in-depth comment about the course of events leading to my cat's euthanasia, just to make it clear that the review about me being cheap and not getting the proper care for her is completely false. Here is a copy of the review with a few words changed and corrected so it can't be Google searched as easily, since I don't want the review being reported until I've been able to take action. It says, "This isn't an emergency clinic. Do not wait 2 days to take your pet here because you're cheap. Doctors and staff are great and realistic in all matters. Do not get mad when you denied your pets proper care and then you expect cheap medical attention and medication. Have been a fan of this clinic since 2014 and still going strong. and here's the more in-depth comment. I haven't called yet just because they're closed on the weekend. The vet we deal with is a very down-to-earth guy who I really can't imagine having said anything to influence the nurse to post this, and the other employees I met seemed nice enough and were apologizing for our loss the last time we were there with our other cat, which was just over 2 weeks ago. It frustrates me that they act like we didn't seek emergency care when we did. To give a full timeline of how things went, since I was quite vague in my original post, so it didn't end up just being a lot. The cat began having breathing problems out of nowhere while my husband was away on a trip. With me having agoraphobia and not driving, I went into panic mode. His sister ended up coming to pick me and the cat up at 1 AM to take us to the 24-hour emergency vet, which was horrendous for my panic attacks, with me not ever leaving the house with anyone but my husband in almost 6 years, but I needed to make sure that the cat was okay. We waited until 4 AM, by which time the cat was acting completely normal, with no breathing issues whatsoever. We were told it'd still be another hour at least before we were seen, so we left thinking maybe she had just a hairball or something, since she would groom the other cats a lot. A week later, my husband was home and the cat began breathing funny again. We took her to a different emergency vet, this time around 6 PM, and she was seen straight away. We were told that she had a heart murmur, but that she also had tapeworm as a result of a flea bite she'd received a couple months ago that we'd noticed, so she was put on parasite medication and antibiotics. We schedule our follow-up appointment for a week later with our regular vet, the one that has the review with photos of my cat. They said the tapeworm may be what is making the heart murmur worse, so hopefully getting rid of them would help, but that heart murmurs are common in this breed, which I already knew. Besides hating the antibiotic and going off food, the cat didn't have any issues during that week, so we thought everything was fine. We took her to her appointment where her heart murmur was still fairly bad, and she had some blood tests done which came back abnormal and are usually seen in a cat with an ovarian infection. We said we'd bought her as a spayed cat 5+ years ago, but we'd realized that she might not be spayed after all. They said they'd do the surgery and find out, and that getting rid of this possible infection may also help with her heart, so we scheduled her to be spayed the next day. She was found not to be already spayed, so they spayed her and they found a huge ovarian cyst during the surgery. They showed me photos of the cyst when we picked her up. She also had a mark on her head, which they said was from her rubbing on the cage when coming around from sedation. That mark is on her head in the photos posted in the review, so the photos could have been taken right before I picked her up. We took her back in a few days later because I was concerned about the stitches. They took her in the back to check them, which is also when the photos may have been taken. They said her stitches were fine, she seemed great, her lungs sounded normal. Her heart murmur didn't seem to be as apparent, and she'd even put on some weight. Before the appointment we had scheduled for her stitches removing, she suddenly took a really bad turn. She could barely breathe. Her lungs were so full of fluid that you could hear it rattling around with every breath, and she was collapsing and unable to get up. We knew she'd need putting down because it seemed like her heart and lungs were giving up. When she was euthanized, it was just me in the room with the vet and a technician. So much fluid poured out of her when her diaphragm gave away. The vet was shocked and told me I did the right thing because it was clearly very severe. We ruled that she likely had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is really rampant in this breed of cat, and I spoke to a lot of other owners who had this exact same experience with the exact same symptoms. So with all of this, I don't know why this person would write that I was cheap and didn't get proper care for my cat because I wanted cheap treatment and prescriptions. I've been hurt by a lot of things, but this review is definitely up there as one of the most hurtful things I've experienced, especially with how much her death affected me and is still something I'm dwelling on every day. Update. My cat was euthanized a few months ago. A month ago, an employee of the vet clinic posted a review using photos of my cat and a false narrative to badmouth me as the owner, Texas. So, after we saw that horrid review written by the vet tech, Jane, calling her out, accompanied by photos of our cat months after we'd had her euthanized, I spoke to the vet clinic's president and let him know I was considering reporting an employee there. He listened to me, then called the clinic to speak to our vet about it and get more information before calling me back. He didn't understand much of what I was explaining to him since he's an older man who doesn't get on the internet. So we arranged to all meet at the clinic so he could look at everything and see what the explanation for it all was. There were multiple calls between him and me and him and the clinic, so meeting in person would make it easier anyway. Here's what happened at the vet's. We got there, and Jane was the one who greeted us, which was pretty weird. In the corridor was the president of the company, Dr. B. He was really welcoming and asked us to come into a room and sit down. So there was me, my husband, Dr. B, Jane, and our regular vet, Dr. No, sat in this little room in a circle. Dr. B starts out by saying he's sorry we've all had to come together to talk, but that he doesn't understand social media, etc. So it was just easier for all of us to sit down together and discuss it, rather than going back and forth over the phone. Dr. No says he apologizes for what has happened, but he doesn't really know what they can do to make things right, and he's wondering why I went to Dr. B rather than coming directly to him. My husband starts talking about protocol and how normally things like this within companies like theirs, he works in a similar industry, have a policy that means if you take photos inside the facility as an employee and talk about clients on a public platform, then you're instantly terminated. I explained that I contacted Dr. B as I really like this vet clinic, and wasn't filing a complaint against the clinic as a whole, but just against Jane. So I had contacted Dr. B so he could take an impartial look into things and take action if he felt he needed to do so without having any kind of tie to Jane and to separate her from his company. If I had called Dr. No, he may have tried to brush it under the rug and protected her more, since they worked together closely, whereas Dr. B only worked at the other facility and didn't know Jane. Dr. No says he understands, and that Jane feels bad about it all. Jane says she apologizes and that there was no malicious intent there, but that the photos were on her cloud with all her other photos, which she's sure I saw when I looked through her photos. So that's why I saw my cat there, and that it's technically an invasion of her privacy that I've now seen her photos of her with her family. What does that mean? I tell her the review is malicious, and even if it wasn't directed towards me, it is still unprofessional and shows malice towards customers at her place of work. Dr. B agrees that it's unacceptable, but that the photos were attached to the review, which makes it seem directed towards us, and the review itself is unprofessional and shouldn't have been posted to begin with. My husband explains the shock of seeing a photo of your cat posted months after she died, when there were not photos we've taken or seen before, so we momentarily thought someone had her and she hadn't been euthanized after all. Dr. No said it sounds like we're questioning his ethic by thinking he'd allow something like that to happen. I explained that it was just a couple minutes of thinking irrationally, but that I was there when she was euthanized, so I soon realized that that couldn't have been the case, but it was just the momentary shock of seeing those photos in the review that had me panicking and googling whether euthanasia could be faked with the use of sedatives. Dr. B defends me, telling Dr. No that it was a completely natural response, and he'd have probably had the same response had it been him this happened to. Dr. No then went on to explain that, by the time he looked at the review, the photos weren't there, so I showed him time-stamped screenshots showing that the photos were removed during the phone conversations with Dr. B / Dr. B's phone call with them, but he said Jane didn't delete them and he never saw the photos. Dr. B says that it doesn't even matter, the photos were there either way. He believes me when I say they were deleted at some point during one of our calls on Monday, and that it's not right, so it needs to be fixed within the company, and they need to figure out how to make things right with us so that we can go home feeling satisfied. Dr. No says we should have just called him, and that at first he thought Dr. B was talking about the appointment we just went to a few weeks ago with our other cat, and that I had a complaint against him for malpractice, before finding out it was all about social media and a complaint against Jane. I asked Jane how long she's worked there, and she says since 2014. I say that, in that case, she definitely worked there when she posted that review. Whether she posted it a few years ago like she claims, or posted it a month ago, and that it isn't right that she posted it acting like she's a customer. She says she is an employee, but is also a customer so she can write a review. I tell her that it might be considered illegal to write a review about your place of work that can potentially affect commerce, which someone pointed out in the original post comments. I then say that it also means she was an employee when she wrote her comment on Facebook under a fake profile, in response to someone else's negative review. She acted shocked and disgusted, and said she had no such Facebook account or knowledge of what I was talking about. I hand my screenshots to Dr. No, showing a negative review on their Facebook page with a comment response from someone saying "new," with no profile picture, and show that when you clicked the profile for new, it shows a URL with Jane's full name on it. So either that's her, or this is some elaborate and very bizarre scheme by someone else. Dr. No sits staring at it for a while Dr. B has me explain what a URL is and why her name would be in it. I tell him when you sign up for Facebook, you enter your name and it creates a custom URL for you, so hers is her name with 336 at the end. Dr. No suddenly says Nunu is actually a customer at a different facility, so it can't be Jane. Me and Dr. B look at each other and roll our eyes, and he scoffs at this weird claim of Nunu not being a fake name for a fake account / being the name of some other customer. I tell them there is also a review written this year on Yelp by Jane, so she demands to see it. I show her, and she justifies it as her just giving the hours of the clinic and what treatments they offer. I tell her that isn't all it says, and that she needs to not be writing positive reviews for her place of work to begin with. I explain that I recommend this clinic to people on a weekly basis. My cat had her own social media page, I'm in a lot of local pet groups, and she's been seen by a lot of people in the area. So if they looked up this clinic on my recommendation, then saw a negative review with pictures of my cat attached, they would recognize her as my cat and assume that I'm a bad owner who didn't care for her properly, as it says in the review attached to her photos. Dr. No says that it will all be taken care of, everything will be deleted, and they'll do a better job of managing their social media, etc., but that it's a shame I called Dr. B rather than him. Dr. B says he's happy we all came and sat down together, because being in front of each other helps you know if someone is being honest, and looking them in the eyes, you can tell if they're being sincere. The way he says it comes across as a dig at somebody. Jane leaves the room and we all shake hands, but Dr. B tells me, I just want you to know you can call me anytime. I honestly do appreciate that you reached out to me over this and gave us a chance to make this right, and I'll tell you now that I'm not satisfied with this outcome at all. I'm not happy with this conclusion, and we've got some things to figure out here. Dr. No starts going on about how this will all be deleted, that he doesn't look at the online stuff. Meanwhile, Dr. B is beside me, looking like he wants to say something to me. Dr. B finally taps me while Dr. No is still talking to my husband, cutting him off, and says, I need you to know that I don't buy it. I feel like we're being bullcrapped, and I'm really not happy. I was feeling like I was going to explode during all of that because I'm so mad. So I need you to know that I'm with you on this, and I think we're being lied to here, and I'm not okay with that. Dr. No looked pretty uneasy about Dr. B not being happy with the way it was handled, / that he wasn't convinced by his and Jane's responses. We then left. TLDR, Jane had excuses. Dr. No was defending her, and Dr. B was not buying any of it, so what happened after we left is anyone's guess. I think Dr. B was looking to fire that girl after he saw her and heard everything, but Dr. No was trying to keep her there. I left feeling annoyed that she didn't seem to get any punishment, but happy that Dr. B was with me and didn't buy into what they were saying, which was my biggest fear. Hopefully I'll hear from him again, and he'll be telling me she was scolded after we left at least. That was a long one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. My voice hurts. I'm gonna let Outro Marky deal with this one. I'll see you later. G'day there guys, Outro Marky here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, Marky2. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!